Order. Welcome to this House Select Committee on Redistricting. I want to begin by introducing the Sergeants at Arms who are here today to help us. Marvin Lee. Marvin, if you will raise your hand. Marvin's over here. Terry McCraw over here. Reginald Sills he walked outside. Thomas Terry back at the back door. John Gilbert over here, and Stafford Young is back at the back door. Thank you, gentlemen. Let me also say to members of the committee, if there is a member of the committee who has an amendment that they propose to offer in this committee, that I need you to turn that in to the clerk for Chair Jones and I to take a look at while we are otherwise proceeding. Let me also, at this point, take just a moment to outline the procedure. I'm going to recognize Representative Jones to begin with for some remarks. Following that, Senator Heiss will present the bill as it comes over from the Senate. We'll have questions and comments for them from members of the committee. At that point, we will take public comments. It's my intention to take those public comments for up to an hour, assuming we have sufficient time, which I think we will, but we're asking that members commenting, or members of the public who are commenting, limit their remarks to a minute so we can get through them all. The Sergeant at Arms, one of them, will be back there and they'll have a little placard or sign that says 30 seconds to let you know you're halfway through, and then a sign when your minute is up. Beyond that, when we complete the public comments, we'll come back and we will take a motion on the bill and have committee debate. If there are amendments, we would take those up during that period of time, but we will be taking a vote on the final bill no later than 10 minutes to 4 or 3:50, unless we get through earlier. So, any questions from members of the committee? Great. So, that being said, the chair recognizes Chair Jones for his remarks on this bill.
Thank you, Chairman. It is a pleasure to be here with you today. I'm going to paint a roadmap and walk each of you through the House's process regarding redistricting. On Friday, October 10th, I, along with Co-Chair Blackwell, emailed our consultant asking him to begin work on Monday, October 13th here in Raleigh. The House consultant is Mr. Blake Springhetti, who is based in Columbus, Ohio. He previously worked for the Ohio legislature and has prior experiences redistricting Ohio, and also as a consultant for North Carolina House during the 2023 redistricting process. In that email to our consultant, we provided instructions for Mr. Springhetti to adhere to in constructing the map. Those instructions are as follows. Number 1, data identifying the race of individuals or voters shall not be used in the construction or consideration of districts in the 2025 congressional plan. Number 2, draw Congressional District 1, known as CD1, to increase the Republican vote share of CD1 in the 2023 congressional plan codified in Senate Bill 757 on October 25, 2023. Unless otherwise directed, you may consider any of the election results referenced in number 8 below, but you may only adjust the boundaries of CD1 and Congressional District 3, known as CD3. Number 3, draw congressional districts to comply with federal standards for equal population. Number 4, draw congressional districts that are contiguous. Contiguity by a point is not permitted, but contiguity by water is permissible. Number 5, to extent feasible, draw districts that are visually reasonably compact. No mathematical tests are required. Number 6, Take reasonable measures to draw districts that respect and follow contiguous municipal boundaries. Number 7, take reasonable measures to draw districts that do not split VTDs. Number 8, political data should be considered. You may use any election or political data that is loaded onto the computer provided to you by the North Carolina General Assembly. Number 9, an incumbent state house's members' local knowledge of communities of interest may be considered. And number 10, all work is to be completed at the legislative complex here in Raleigh on equipment provided by the North Carolina General Assembly. The election contest data in the stat pack before you, and that is also available on the committee website, was considered in the creation of the plan, but the primary focus was on the election contest data from the 2024 presidential race. So as stated in the drawing process that began here at the General Assembly on Monday, October 13th, let me be clear and let me emphasize, racial data was not used. Ultimately, we decided to proceed with the map put forward by Senator Heiss, who you're going to hear from regarding the details of this map. The map was then publicly released last Thursday, October the 16th, and the public comment portal was open, giving the general public time to submit public comments for our review. We will vote this bill out of committee today, and it will be on the House floor for a final vote tomorrow. To everyone listening, the House is here today because California and the radical left launched a full-fledged coordinated attack. Mr. Chair.
Up until now, we've been doing pretty well. I don't want to have to ask the sergeants at arms to remove people, but we'll have to contain those outbursts, please. So let's go back to being under control so we can get through this meeting and everybody can get their say. We don't need your reactions to what others are saying. Chair Jones, would you continue?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And again, we'll try it one more time. To everyone listening, the House is here today because of California and the radical left launched a full-fledged coordinated attack not only on North Carolina, but on the integrity of democracy itself. I've got bad news for Gavin Newsom and the radical left. North Carolina will not stand by while I tried to undermine the will of the voters and stack the deck in D.C. Well, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
The chair recognizes Senator Heiss to come forward. Welcome, Senator Heiss. We love having you over here, especially when you're agreeable.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the committee. Members, before you is the proposed 2025 congressional map. We had a robust discussion in the Senate committee, heard public comment from everyone who signed up to speak yesterday, had hours of debate on the Senate floor yesterday and earlier today. I will not repeat everything I said, but I will say a few things about this redistricting plan. The motivation behind this draw was to produce a new map that will bring an additional Republican seat to North Carolina's congressional delegation. Republicans hold a razor-thin margin in the United States House of Representatives, and if Democrats flip 4 seats in the upcoming midterm elections, they will take control of the House and torpedo President Trump's agenda. President Trump has called on Republican-controlled states across the country to redraw congressional maps, and this map answers that call. On the issue of race, to be clear, consistent with our practices this decade, in 2023 and in 2021, absolutely no racial data was used in the creation of this map. Past decisions and court records demonstrate there is no evidence of the 3 jingles preconditions in North Carolina. In fact, just weeks ago, a federal court told us in a case concerning Senate districts in the northeastern part of the state There was no evidence of legally significant racially polarized voting that would require a majority-minority district. In the absence of any evidence of the three jingles preconditions, the chairs, myself of the Senate, elected not to use race in drawing these proposed districts strictly to protect the state from lawsuits alleging illegal racial gerrymandering. The chairs do not believe the use of racial data would have been helpful in reaching any political or other legislative redistricting goal. Any political consideration and line drawings have been influenced by political data, not racial data. Now to the plan before you. The new congressional plan makes no changes to 12 of the 14 districts. The only districts that were changed in the new map are NC1 and NC3. These changes in the new congressional plan consist of the following. Greene, Lenoir, Wayne, and Wilson counties are moved from NC1 to NC3. Beaufort, Carteret, Craven, Dare, Hyde, and Pamlico counties are moved from NC3 to NC1. To balance the population of the two districts, 4,853 people by the 2020 census numbers out of 204,576 in Onslow County, 2.4% of the population, are moved from NC3 to NC1. This split occurs in the Swansboro precinct, leaving as much of the town in one district, NC1, as possible, minimizing the municipal split. As I stated previously, the motivation behind this new plan is straightforward. The new congressional map improves Republican political strength in eastern North Carolina. It moves NC1 from a district where President Trump earned 51% of the vote in 2024 to a district that would have produced 55% of the vote, an increase of 4 points. To balance the strength, NC3 would lose the same amount that NC1 gains, 4 points, moving it from a district which Trump performed at 60% of the vote in the previous map to 56% in the new map. The end result is a congressional plan that should perform to elect 11 Republicans. Not only does the new congressional map better improve Republican political strength in eastern North Carolina, giving Republican candidates a better opportunity to win NC1, the new map adheres to traditional redistricting principles. You all can review the compactness reports, but the bottom line is that this map is more compact than the 23 map in all recognized measures. I would urge your support.
Thank you, Senator Heiss. Are there questions or comments at this point from members of the committee? Representative Harrison is ready to go.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. And I have a question for Chair Jones and a question for Chair Heiss, and then I'm going to make my comments if I may. Is that okay?
I think that sounds reasonable.
Great, thank you. Chair Jones, I was surprised to hear you describe y'all's efforts at drawing your own map. I just had heard Senator Hines talk about the process in the Senate, and I just assumed that y'all were working together on that. So you all, the House, worked separately to develop your own map with the criteria that you gave to Mr. Springhetti, and then you decided that you preferred the map. Were they similar? I'm just trying to figure out how you reached the conclusion to go with the
Chair
Senate
Jones
map.
is recognized to respond.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Representative. Yes, we chose Senator Heiss's map over, yes.
Thank you. And Senator Heiss, I listened to the Senate committee and I listened to the floor debate, and I don't want to waste the chamber's time adjudicating all the questions. So, but I did have one that I did not hear asked, and I'm wondering, because I didn't hear Chair Jones mention it either, were communities of interest taken into account for the drawing of this map?
Senator Heiss, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Communities of interest are always considered in maps. We have predominantly divided those by what are voter tabulation districts, or often referred to as precincts. We continued to keep counties as whole as possible. As I mentioned, with Swansboro, we kept it as whole as possible in making that division. We divided one additional county in this map, and those are things we have always considered as communities of interest. There was no formal definition establishing a new community of interest that had not been part of our redistricting up to this point.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I might dispute that communities of interest sometimes exceed the boundaries of VTDs, but thank you for that. So I just want to respond to some of the points that
You're recognized
thank
for
you.
your comments.
Thank you, and I will try and be as brief as possible, but there's a lot to say. So I have to dispute the claim that California started this. Texas started it at the behest of President Trump, who saw his potential for losing control of the House in 2026 elections is slipping away, and is asking states, and it's not just Texas, it's also Missouri, Indiana, other states are looking at redistricting to provide more Republican-drawn districts. And why is this wrong? President Trump is not very popular in North Carolina right now. I think his approval rating is below 40%. Many of his actions are meeting with great disapproval, and also blocked by the courts because they're illegal or unconstitutional. So I'm not sure that we should be drawing maps at the behest of President Trump that are clearly in conflict with what the citizens of North Carolina want. So there's that. The Duke study found that this map is the most gerrymandered and least responsive in North Carolina history. That's really saying something, because we've had some bad maps before, and this is bad. The process others are going to speak to, but the fact that we crunched this down into it's been a week, but the public's only known about it since Thursday afternoon, and we've had, unlike 2011 when we had 65 public hearings around the state, 14 in 2021 and several in the 2023 redraw. This is it for public participation and in the Senate committee, but we do have over 11,000 comments in the public portal, which I just found out only us on the committee are receiving those. Our colleagues don't have them if you're not on the committee. But that's really something, and the themes have been pretty consistent. Unhappy with President Trump, really unhappy with gerrymandering, very much want fair maps and independent redistricting. And this is, I don't know that that's what this map reflects. In fact, I'm pretty sure, because I listened to the Senate debate, that the Senate didn't take into account any public input when they were drawing the map. I hope this committee will, but I don't know how that's going to happen. So we've got the first redrawn congressional district, mid-decadal, in North Carolina history that wasn't at the request of the courts. So there's another record for us. There is no competitiveness. We no longer have a district that is competitive. It's a 12-2 map in a 50-50 state. We've got a 12-2 map without one competitive congressional district. We've got a president, as I said, we've got a very unpopular agenda, historically low approval ratings, yet we are drawing a map for him to maintain control of the Congress when we have severe cuts in Medicaid coming to our districts. We have SNAP benefits cut. We have environmental justice programs ended. We have environmental protections removed. We have the entire clean energy investments withdrawn. The list is really long, and it's all very unpopular. I will say that y'all are sick of hearing me talk about it, but while we still have a Voting Rights Act Section 2, this map clearly violates that section. There is and I disagree respectfully with Senator Heiss that about that court ruling on the Senate districts, because I think maybe the plaintiffs didn't make their case. But it's pretty clear that there is evidence that majority black populations can choose a candidate of their choice given the opportunity, but this is not giving them the opportunity because they're shifting the districts between Representative Murphy and Representative Davis in a way that we will not have a black Democrat representing that section of the state. And I'm really excited that Eva Clayton is here, who was the first black woman elected to the House since 1901, elected to the U.S. House from North Carolina since 1901.
Representative Harrison, excuse me for interrupting you, and I don't mean to be unreasonable. We've got other members of the committee, and my biggest concern is that we've sort of intended to give an hour for public comment, and there will be an opportunity for debate on the motion itself. If you might finish up.
I'm wrapping up. I'm almost done. I don't think
Thank
I'll
you.
speak again. So thank you. Thank you, Chair Blackwell. I just want to comment that everything about this process is wrong. And I know we're going to hear that from the public that's come to speak. Out of the 11,000 plus comments, my wonderful legislative assistant found 3 who favored the maps. So anyway, I appreciate your indulgence. I'm just so angry about what we're doing to our democracy today that I'm having a hard time containing myself, and thank you all for coming to speak. Thank you.
Do other members of the committee have questions or comments at this point? And again, as I just said, we are going to have debate available, but Representative Ball, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A question for Senator Heiss.
Senator Heiss, you're recognized for an answer.
Senator Heiss, I listened to the Senate presentation yesterday and the questions that you were asked, and recall that you were asked if anyone else had anything to do with drawing this map, and you indicated that they did not, that no one else was involved, it was just you. Can you explain the difference between what you said yesterday and what Chair Jones told us just a bit ago?
So first, let me clear up the inaccuracies on that. I did indicate that I was accompanied by legal staff and others, as well as central staff and pro tem staff that were involved in that, in both the mechanics and the others of drawing the map. There were no other members present when I drew these maps. I think Representative Jones can say what he was saying. Something else was going on somewhere else in the House. But we completed the map. We sent the map out. Decisions were made. No input was given back to us on changes to the map after I had completed the drawing. And so the development and drawing of the map was completely done by me as the only member that was available there. I don't know what else you're looking for, but it was a sole decision. The House made the decision to proceed with that map. And as Representative Jones has said, they were looking at other things as well.
Just a quick follow-up, if I
You're
might.
recognized for a follow-up.
Thank you, Senator Heiss. That clarifies it a bit for me. But I'm also wondering, and actually want to express my concern, which I'll debate a little bit later, that you indicated that the map was sent out. It was not sent out to the members of the House of Representatives who are Democrats, at least, and on this committee. At least I did not receive it, and I don't think any of my colleagues did. So what you mean is that you sent it out to the Republicans in the House, and there was no change to yours. Is that right?
Senator Heiss.
It depends on your timeline for that. On Thursday, the map was released publicly to everyone without any changes from where it was going. In that interim time, it went to both legal counsel and other people who were making those decisions. That's correct.
That's it. Thank you.
Other questions or comments at this time from members of the committee? Representative Carney?
Well, I guess you saw the hesitation in my hand.
Well, you can take it back if you would like.
No, I would like a question of the chair.
Yes.
So when we come back for discussion from the committee, we can ask questions then. I would rather hear from the public so we can move forward after that, but whatever your schedule is, if you'll clarify.
Here's my thought.
Okay.
I'm not sure if Senator Heiss is going to hang around for the next hour and a half. So if you have questions for him, I would encourage you to go ahead and ask those now. Otherwise, we can deal with things during the debate after and the motion after the public hearing comments.
So then I do have a question for Senator
Yes,
Heiss.
please proceed.
So, Senator Heiss, we've both been here for a long time. I know I've been here I'm in my 12th term, and I have a question, and by public admission from our leadership, that this map was drawn at the request of the president. That's a quote from leadership, and it's been all over the news. My question to you is, have we ever drawn a map in North Carolina that was requested by the President of the United States?
Senator Heiss, you're recognized for a response.
I have received, I will say this first, I'm not aware of any map which the president has made comments on before. That does not mean I'm aware of all 50 states and how many times the president has historically involved themselves in the drawing of maps. I couldn't comment on that. I will say that I received no direct communication from the president, from the White House staff, or directives to draw a map. This is something I very much support doing individually and improving the direction of this map. What I have seen is there are social media posts and other things out there that are publicly available of the president recalling on all states, Republican-controlled states across the nation, to undo the challenges we've seen from so many other states, California being the most recent, but New York, New Mexico, Connecticut, Massachusetts, who maximize their maps in order to put Democrats into Congress, and it's necessary for the state of North Carolina to respond.
Thank you. So I take that, in my opinion, it has not happened in North Carolina. I'm questioning about that a president has never, a seated president has never requested a map to be drawn specifically for them in North Carolina. I would just
Do you have a
curious.
further question or comment?
Thank you. A further question.
Okay.
How much money has the state of North Carolina spent to, if you know the answer, staff, defend the current congressional map that's in court now? And that's a question coming from the public, too. How much money?
Senator Heiss, you,
The specific current congressional map, we've only been on for 2 years. I'm aware of 2 cases that may involve, one was a Senate case, so maybe it's just one case on the congressional map. What our legal fees are to date, I'm sure somebody can get them an answer, but I don't know anybody that keeps that on the cuff.
we can probably get staff to get you an answer on that. I'm not sure how quickly.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I have, Mr. Chair, I have that number, right here. I promise I will just
I'll
give you the
let you send it out to the members of the
Okay.
committee.
All right, thank
Or
you.
you can tell us in debate. How about that? Other questions or comments from members of the committee at this point? Representative Jackson, you're recognized.
Yes, sir, thank you. My question to Senator Heiss is just a question. You just said that the president wasn't the reason the lines were drawn. What happened in 2024 in the population or in the changes in the community that would prompt us to have the maps changed before the census is, before the next census?
Senator Heiss, you're recognized.
The most recent incident is that California redrew its maps to add 4 Democrats to Congress, and we do not intend to let that go unanswered.
Further questions or comments at this point from members of the committee? Representative Reeves, recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know we've talked about California a lot, but I'm trying to look at what has happened. And the way I'm seeing it is Texas draws their map. Texas nets, it looks like 5 seats. California has drawn a map that's going to the voters, which may or may not pass, which gets 5 seats. Missouri then redrew, at the request of the administration, their maps that netted 1 seat. So right now, if everybody stopped today, then you're at a 1 seat gain as a total. So I don't know if you were or were not aware of that, but since Republicans have already gotten 1 more seat in the House, and you were doing this, I guess, thinking that California had somehow changed the balance, is this something that we can just withdraw until we see some other blue state do it?
Senator Heiss, you're recognized to answer.
Thank you. I think that's a really convenient place to kind of put your line and where you want to draw and not look at the results of what was drawn for the 22 congressional maps, where states like New Mexico, Connecticut, and Massachusetts drew their maps to not elect any Republicans within their state and have done so Illinois, only 3 of 17 Republicans in their state, even though Trump carried 43.5% of the vote. New York, which was part of the lawsuits that was there as well, where more than 40% were the vote for Trump. Only 19 out of the 26 congressional seats are held. 19 of the 26 congressional seats are held by Democrats. It is obvious that this began with the 2022 redistricting with the Democrat optimization. When the laws changed and Texas was under new standards for drawing their districts to rebalance this, I felt like that was a movement that came more towards a balance. And then California is the latest to throw their chips in the hat and try to add for Democrats. We can adjust one of those seats by moving in North Carolina.
Further comments or questions from Representative Reeves?
Yes, and I apologize for seeming like I was trying to draw a convenient line, and I may have misunderstood what both folks have said as to why we were doing this. What I heard when you initially talked and when Chair Jones talked was that you were doing this in response to California, not into something that happened in 22. So if I misheard that, I apologize. So if this is a response then to what happened in 2022, why didn't you draw this map in 2024 when you had a chance to draw a map?
Senator Heiss.
As you're aware, in 2022, we did not draw the congressional maps that's coming out. So the results of how the maps would perform, we didn't have 2024 election data either in that process. But it was California adding the 5 congressional seats to the Senate, which made us optimize our maps. We actually did put out a proposal for a 12-2 map in the previous draw of 2024. That's coming out. That was not adopted, but when the environment changes, the opportunity to make changes comes to light.
Further comments or questions from members of the committee at this point? Representative Reeves.
Yes, thank you. So the House drew a congressional map and the Senate drew a congressional map. And if I'm hearing you correctly, what's been adopted is the Senate congressional map. So there were no compromises made for the House map. So for instance, the House didn't have parts in it that you said, hey, I will change my map for, or is this the original Senate map that the House was asked to look at?
Senator Heiss.
I have never seen the map drawn by the House or produced by the House. I don't even know that a full map was produced. I was just informed that the House was willing to accept the map that I produced.
All right, thank you.
Further questions, comments, members of the committee? Representative Carney, you're recognized.
Thank you. I wasn't quite through before, but go ahead. I was okay with that.
Okay.
Excuse me. So, Senator Heiss, and I'm going to read from this, the 10th Amendment simply means that any powers not specifically given to the federal government by the Constitution are automatically reserved to the states or the people. From the question earlier, it appears that that the president, we know, has asked for this request of North Carolina. So, can you know, if the following instructions that I read, aren't we violating the 10th Amendment by moving forward as a state on a federal government, the president's request?
Senator Heiss.
Multiple challenges to that. First of all, the right to draw congressional districts is given to the federal government. If you read the U.S. Constitution, it also authorizes Congress to make changes to the districts as well as the state legislature. This is a decision. There is no requirement or others that the state do it. This is a choice we are making that the president approves in that process, and this is a decision of the state legislature to redraw its districts at this time.
So one follow-up, Mr.
As
Chair.
evidenced by the fact that you're getting ready to vote on this process.
Mr. Chair, a follow-up?
Yes.
Okay. So my question would be, after your statement then, would you have moved forward, or we've been requested to move forward, had this request not come from the president, would we be here today moving forward with this as a General Assembly?
Given the opportunity to move forward and rebalance after California, I would have taken any opportunity available to bring this body here to maximize our congressional representation.
Thank you. I just want to be on the record as saying I disagree that this started in California. It really originated back in Texas.
Further questions or comments from members of the committee before we go to public comments? Representative Ball.
Just a question for the chair, please. I
Yes.
want clarification. So we will have an opportunity to debate after the public has comment. In other words, you do not want us to debate now. You want us to wait till the public has completed, and we will extend as long as we need to, because we are not going into session, I understand, at 4. So our calendar can be moved to allow the public to have as much opportunity to speak, and the members of this committee as much opportunity to voice their thoughts as well. So if you'd clarify that for me.
It's the intention of the chair that we would take a vote at 3:50. If we get some revised indication that they're going to give us more time or want us to take more time, that could change. But as of now, the expectation is we will go into public comments, and after the public comments, we will come back, have a motion and debate on the bill itself. How much time we will have may depend on how much time we end up with on public comment. The idea originally was to have an hour for public comment. We are now at 2:42, so we may, I think, unless, I don't know how many additional sign-ups we've got at the back, but we may have fewer public comments than we need for a full hour. So we're going to have to play it a little bit by ear, Representative Ball. I can't promise exactly how much time is, but we will have debate.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I offered a solution that will make sure we have plenty time to debate members of this committee, and that the public has plenty of time to offer their comments, because we have been told that the Republicans will caucus at 4 o'clock. Therefore, we are caucusing at 4 o'clock. So we don't have to go into session, which was the original plan, to have session at 4 o'clock. So anything can be moved a bit to accommodate the necessary debate on this bill.
Well, as I say, we'll have to see how that develops. Presently, my instructions, if you will, for the committee are for us to finish at 10:04. If that changes, then I certainly am willing to stay here personally, but we'll see how that goes. At this point, we're going to go to public comment. I'll remind you of the rules, if you will, that 1 minute, the sergeant at arms has a card that he'll hold up after 30 seconds to let you know you've used half of your time, and then he's got a separate one to hold up when you have reached the 1 minute time limit. I know that's not a lot of time, but we got a lot of folks that we are going to try to hear from. I'm going to call these in the names in the order that they've been given to me, and I'm going to call several to start with, and I'll call them in order. If the person second and third and fourth in line would go ahead and come up to the mic and stand at the back or to the side and wait for your turn, that might help us move through this promptly. The first, and when you're speaking to us, if you'll identify clearly your name, if you are with an organization or representing a group, if you'll let us know that. The first 4 speakers that have signed up, Vicki Boyer, then former Congresswoman Eva Clayton, Clinton Wright, I think this is Khalil DeThomas, apologize if I didn't get that correctly, Tamika Walker Kelly. That's 5, but we'll start with Ms. Boyer if she's here, and if you'll come up to the mic, and Ms. Clayton, if you can get in position. Yes, Ms. Boyer.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm Vicki Boyer. I am from Orange County, representing myself. I want you to know I'm a North Carolina native, and I can trace my ancestors here back to the 1730s. I'm going to tell you that this is one of those days that will live in infamy in North Carolina history. Today, North Carolina Republicans show their true face. They have lost all sense of honor. They have lost their Christian values. They've become completely absorbed into the American Fascist Party. Their oath of office, sworn to with their hand on a Bible, means nothing to them. It was only a means to an end. Their actions today prove that their plans for North Carolina are so unpopular that they have to cheat to win. They don't want to govern, they want to rule. I hope they will remember that old adage that cheaters never prosper. The best sign I saw Saturday at a No Kings rally was this: Yo Papa didn't run moonshine through North Carolina hollers just so you could be a bootlicker.
Thank you, Ms. Boyer. Representative Eva Clayton. Ms. Clayton, welcome to the House.
Thank you. I wish to speak on the House bill redrawing North Carolina Congressional District. I rise to speak against the House bill that redraws North Carolina 1st Congressional District. Shame on this General Assembly, shame on North Carolina for silencing the will of the people of northeastern North Carolina, a true swing district that reflects the diversity value of the state. For 91 years after 1901, no black citizen represented North Carolina. I broke that banner. I was that person who was elected in 1992. I represented teachers. I represented farmers, those of the diverse area. In 2024, voters in this district chose a Republican president and a Democrat black representative. That, although I did not vote for that president, that is democracy. What you're doing today means that you are against democracy. But this redistricting strips, indeed, the majority black counties from the 1st Congressional District and bury them in a heavily Republican area. That is an act of gerrymandering. You also remove one of the 3 black representatives. Shame on you for saying you didn't consider him.
Thank you.
Do you not know that Donald Davis was black? Well, I'm here to inform you. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Clayton. Our next speaker is Clinton Wright.
Good afternoon. I'm Clinton Wright, and I've come here today to talk about Senate Bill 249 as a recovering Republican turned registered independent. Like many of you, I'm from a rural country town where most people vote Republican because that's how my father, my papa, and my granddaddy and generations of my family voted. The GOP is a party of people who allow the social movements of their day to push them to do great things. I know what you're feeling in these confusing times. I know you're a Republican politician because you too want to do great things, and you're confused by the men and women around you who aren't living up to the principles of the party that you were raised in. So I've come here today to say, leave your church and your lying, abusive pastor. Burn your hoods instead of your crosses. Open your closet doors instead of hiding your truth. And I promise you that when you do, what you'll find is a huge, gigantic family that loves you just the way you are. And you don't need to stay on your knees worshiping the men who bully, belittle, harass, and rape you with their golden phalluses of lies and hatred. I know that deep down inside of you, you know that these maps are racist, immoral, and wrong. Vote no. State budget. In doing so, you will do something great,
Mr.
and
Wright,
you will
your
save
time
yourself
has
by finding
expired.
your freedom in your truth.
The next speaker, if I'm reading this correctly, is Khalil DeThomas. Apologize if that's not correctly pronounced.
Thank you. My name is difficult. It is Khalil D. Thomas. I am with Democracy Out Loud. I asked Representative Pricey for the amount of taxpayer money spent on redistricting litigation. $22,512,000 redistricting litigation since GOP took over in 2011. It's ironic to me that the Party for States' Rights is abdicating their own power to Trump to give a convicted felon with an incredibly dangerous and unpopular agenda your power. And you Republicans are willing to kneel to fascism for Berger's desperation not to be primaried. It's a misdirected claim that this is not race targeted when you're targeting the district that's known as the Black Belt. This is the Southern agenda. You will be on the wrong side of history. Today is an amazing opportunity for a Republican who has the nerve to be a hero by standing up for equal representation and the rights of black voters. I demand Medicaid funding and a moral budget, not racist maps.
Thank you, Ms. DeThomas. Let me read out some names. I think Ms. Kelly is probably at the podium, but the next speakers after her, if you would come up, would be Greg Flynn, Deb Oronzio, Pat Butler, and Catherine O'Malley. Ms. Kelly, you're recognized.
I am Tamika Walker Kelly, an elementary music teacher from Cumberland County and president of NCAE. It has been 113 days since the General Assembly has missed its deadline to pass the state budget. 100 days of missed opportunities for students across the state, 100 days of educators trying to function without the raises that they deserve, and 100 days of uncertainty for schools trying to plan. But instead, you are busy drawing congressional maps once again. And so while teachers are wondering if they can stay in the classroom, you are rigging the system. And instead of students who are thinking of them who are sitting in overcrowded classrooms, you are breaking the rule of law to benefit the powerful few. Education, public education, is the foundation of our democracy and this economy, and yet it is playing second fiddle to people's political ambition, and that should not be so. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Greg Flynn.
Greg Flynn, citizen, voter. The map hasn't changed since yesterday, so my comments will be equally familiar. This president has circulated a video of himself dropping excrement on American people. This is the God you worship, the dictator you appeal to, you appease, the king you pander to, while thousands of North Carolina citizens are on track to lose health insurance, while civil rights guaranteed by the Constitution are now daily trampled on. No one is safe from his retributions, not even you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, a republic if you can keep it, not to a felonious monarch in a gilded house on Pennsylvania Avenue. Are you monarchists? Are you not Republicans? Absolute power is corroding the republic. Just because you can legally eat everything at a buffet doesn't mean it's a good idea.
Thank you, Mr. Flynn. The next speaker is Deb Oronzio.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you. This action by the legislator is a shameless and deliberate attack on democracy. First, let's be crystal clear about the racist nature of this redraw. You're not just shuffling lines. You're dismantling a historic black opportunity district. The claim of no racial data used is a legal shield to mask a real-world tragedy. You are effectively silencing the voices of black North Carolinians and erasing their history of representation. This isn't just partisan. This is a moral regression. The sheer arrogance in this move is just as appalling when we all know that between 84 and 87% of all North Carolinians believe partisan gerrymandering is wrong. In a moment when our families are struggling with real issues, you are wasting taxpayer time to pick your own voters. This map is a stain on our state. You do not have the right to ignore the voices of your constituents. Shame.
Thank you, Ms. Oronzio. The next speaker is Pat Butler.
Pat Butler. As a mother and grandmother.
Can you just for the record state your name and whether you are with anybody?
Pat Butler. I'm here for myself. And as a mother and grandmother, I taught my children not to be a bully. But if they encountered one, to not bow down, but to stand up for what they knew was morally and ethically right. And I imagine that many of you did the same thing with your children. So I'm asking you now, how do you explain to your children and rationalize that you're bending the knee to the dictator? How do you do that?
Thank you, Ms. Butler. The next speaker is Catherine O'Malley.
Hi, my name is Catherine O'Malley. I'm here representing myself. I am, however, a proud member of Red, Wine, and Blue, the League of Women Voters, and Indivisible. Apparently, you all have not realized you work for us. You do not work for yourselves. You do not work for Trump. You work for we, the people. I'm also a proud participant in the No Kings Day, where we stood 7 million proud to say, you represent us. These maps do not represent the state of North Carolina. These maps do not represent your constituents. We've heard that you are wasting taxpayer money. We've heard there's 10,997 public comments and us saying we want fair maps. These are not fair maps.
Thank you, Ms. O'Malley. I think I failed to get some other folks up there on time, so let's get them 4 or 5 more. Gerald Givens Jr., Kathy Martin, Mark Swallow, Anna Ruderman.
My name is Gerald Givens Jr. I proudly served this nation for 2 decades in the United States Air Force. I defended freedom, not for a party, but for the principle that every American should have their voice equally counted. I've heard it said that race wasn't used in drawing this map, but I've seen the effects. Long-standing black communities in places like northeastern North Carolina, Greensboro, and Charlotte have been split apart or packed so tightly together that their voices can't shape outcomes beyond their own district. You don't need to use racial data to see racial impact. When a district that has elected a black representative for decades is redrawn so those voters can no longer elect their candidate of choice, that's not balance, that's silence. I didn't fight for selective freedom. I fought for every North Carolinian to have their voice heard. Do what's right. Defend the people's voice like I defended yours.
Thank you, Mr. Givens. The next speaker is Kathy Martin.
My name is Kathy Martin. I am a member of Democracy Out Loud, and I spoke also yesterday. So I know you're probably all aware that this is pretty much what happened yesterday, and you know what the arguments are. And I am totally incredulous that that man wants to lie and say we're doing this because what California is doing. California is asking their voters what they want. These folks are not doing that. Shame on you if you don't understand that this is a democracy and that you work for us.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. The next speaker is Mark Swallow.
My name is Mark Swallow with Democracy Out Loud. So these maps are racists, right? When you take a predominantly black and brown district, you don't need to add race. It's there already. And then you add predominantly white counties to dilute the black and brown votes. You're disenfranchising those votes, right? That's racism. This bill is about Berger, and it's about helping Berger win his primary in March by gaining the support of President Trump. He is giving up a seat in North Carolina for a favor from the president. That's corrupt, and it smacks of racketeering. And telling the lies over and over again about California doesn't make it true, it just makes you a liar. Add a referendum on the ballot in North Carolina and see what the people of North Carolina want. That is what you should be doing, not this.
Thank you, Mr. Swallow. I think Anna Ruderman is next, but before she speaks, If Frank Atkinson could come up next, Daniel Ayers, Eric Willoughby, and Mark McClure. Ms. Ruderman, you have the floor. Ruderman, or I'm not sure.
Dr. Ruderman, yeah, thank you. Article 1, Section 10 of the North Carolina Constitution, known simply as the Free Elections Clause, states that all elections shall be free. Merriam-Webster's defined free as not determined by anything beyond its nature or being, choosing or capable of choosing for itself. In violation of the concept of free elections, partisan gerrymandering is the form of vote dilution, the devaluing of one citizen's vote as compared to others. That imposes a constraint on a voter's will. A rigged election is not a free election, nor is an election with a voter's voice is worthless because the election's results have been preordained by whoever wields political power. The rights that prohibit partisan gerrymandering are the bedrock of our sacred system of democratic government. And this is a shameful manipulation of our principles of democracy and the rule of law. And Mr. Blackwell, you were 20 years old, just 4 years younger than the late, great John Lewis when he had his head bashed in to protect voting rights. I know on which side of history I would like to stand.
Thank you, Ms. Ruderman. Frank Atkinson. Or is it Ackerson? No? How about Daniel Ayers?
And I'd just like to say that was quoting Justice Earl.
Daniel Ayers, Hometown Holler, North Carolina's #1 state politics podcast. Y'all check us out. Got my Bible here today. Don't be nervous. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It's that simple. It's that simple. I've heard a lot of excuses for these maps. Gavin Newsom, California. When we get down to it, folks, is this what you would have your neighbor do unto you? Is this what biblical leadership looks like? These maps are the wet dream of soft men who won't even look up from their phones to face their voters. These are men who lust for a world where the powerful do what they can and the rest of us suffer what we must. Jesus wept.
Thank you, Mr. Ayers. Eric Willoughby.
My name is Eric Willoughby. I'm a sophomore at UNC Charlotte, and I just want to highlight what this kangaroo court actually is. This is a sham. This is a blatant, racist attempt to limit the power of minority voters. This is pathetic, it is pitiful, and it is shameful. That is what this is. And you Republicans, you want us to be afraid because voters who are fearful do not show up. They do not come and fight you on everything. But let me tell you, hear us, see us. We are not afraid of you. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice, as Dr. King said. And we will win in the end. Shame on you. Shame.
Thanks. Mark McClure is next, but Ms. McClure, before you start, let me call out the next group. Congresswoman Alma Adams, Jennifer Berkins, Kristen, I think it's Creason or Grossman, I'm sorry, can't quite read it, and Elena Siberio. Mr. McClure.
My name is Mark McClure. I'm a proud member of Democracy Out Loud. And according to the North Carolina Constitution, all political power originates from the people, is founded upon their will only, and is instituted solely for the good of the whole. This surgical targeting of the black and brown community in Northeast North Carolina is not for the good of whole. I'm a physician. There's a cancer in Washington, D.C., and it has metastasized throughout the Republican Party. And it will kill this party. It will kill the Republican Party. And it will hurt millions of people. Vote against this.
Thank you, Mr. McClure. Congresswoman Adams, welcome back. It's good to see your hat.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Congresswoman Alma Adams. I'm a former member of this body, and I'm deeply ashamed of this body for putting the people of North Carolina last. Speaker Hall made it very clear that this attempt to further gerrymander our state is being done at the request of President Trump, not because it's in the best interest of North Carolina citizens. You focused on stealing another congressional seat after you've already stolen 3. And rigging our democracy, then addressing our states, not addressing our states' pressing issues. And we're tired of congressional districts being shuffled every election because you'd rather pick your voters than have them pick you. We're tired of being disenfranchised, of being embarrassed because gerrymandering is more important to you. So you're not just targeting a Democratic member, that's obvious, and he is black, you must know that. You're trying to dismantle the district with the largest record of black congressional leadership in North Carolina history. And that's just not right. Your constituents are speaking to you today. I certainly hope you listen. I spent 20 years here. I know you. You should know your citizens, and you need to respect our wishes.
Thank you, Congresswoman Adams. The next speaker is Jennifer Berkins.
Hello. I'm no organization, just a very concerned American citizen. What's happening here right now, because Pino, president in name only, asked you, his radical right minions, to steal more seats is an abomination. Chair Jones, your rhetoric and propaganda is astonishing. This started in Texas with Abbott, and California responded using your racist and right-wing tactics, and you don't like it. It's an abomination of our Constitution and what we the people want. Tell yourselves there's no racial component to this redistricting, gerrymandering, if it helps you sleep at night. This shouldn't even be happening at all, and this legislator isn't even doing its job. Where's our budget, guys? Y'all have your priorities mixed up, and your hunger for maintaining power and control is sickening. It doesn't end here. We, the people, will continue to fight for justice, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and fair maps. We, the people's voice, will not be stifled, and we will persist. The world is watching, and your place in history will not be favorable.
Thank you, Ms. Berkins. The next speaker is Kristen, and I apologize, I can't read your last name. You may.
Sorry. My name's Kristen Greason. I'm from Liberty, North Carolina, and I'm here on behalf of myself. I'm here because I'm tired. I'm tired because I'm feeling like my elected officials no longer serve their constituents as they are sworn to do. If you truly care about your constituents, you would be working to pass a budget. You would be working to fully fund Medicaid in the state of North Carolina. Instead, you are redistricting the state again to finagle more power and more money for yourselves. If you truly cared about what your constituents think, then put a referendum on the ballot and ask them across the state. Let them tell you what they want redistricting to look like in the state of North Carolina. Everyone in this room, Democrat or Republican, should be in favor of free and fair elections. You are not doing that right now.
Thank you, Ms. Greason. Before we go to Elena Siberio next, in line would be Landon Anderson, Lisa Mitchell, Ron Osborne, and Larissa Orishkovich. And so, Elena Siberio, if you're here.
My name's Elena Siberio, and I am with Democracy Out Loud. This is a people's proclamation. Whereas on November 20, 2025, 25 members of the North Carolina Senate voted to openly disenfranchise black voters of District 1, we the people call shame. Whereas Senator Ralph Hayes of District 47 was divinely inspired to take it upon himself to violently remove justice from the voting rights of black voters in District 1, the people call shame. Whereas the Republican Party of this state has decided to get on their knees awaiting their reward from an authoritarian thug, a convicted felon who sees himself as king while defecating on the citizens of this republic, the people call shame. Whereas the House of Representatives of the state of North Carolina has the opportunity on this date to break the cycle of partisan gerrymandering, the people say, do the right thing, stop hurting black voters, as has been the result of every gerrymander in this state's history.
Thank you, Ms.
Vote
Severio.
no.
Your time has expired. Landon Anderson. Mr. Anderson, are you in the room? If not, Lisa Mitchell.
Hello, and thank you. I appreciate this opportunity to talk. Rather than repeat points that other people have made, I would just like to remind this esteemed committee that 84% of voters, including 87% of Democrats, 78% of Republicans, have said they oppose partisan voting maps in this September survey. Each of you on this committee and in the House took an oath to defend the state constitution and serve all of the people of North Carolina. If this gerrymander is implemented, at least 6 million people will have lost trust in this House.
Thank you, ma'am. Ron Osborne.
I'm Ron Osborne. I'm from Alamance County, and I want to say that I applaud Representative Jones and Senator Heiss for their frankness. It is not easy to represent up front the Republican Party as they did. They did a good job of that. They put their bigotry and their greed front and center, and I appreciate that forthrightness in doing that. I only wish that your honesty, truthfulness would extend to talking about the motives behind these things. And it reminds me of a story about the old Quaker farmer called a chicken thief. He caught the chicken thief in his barn, and he said, "Friend, I would not shoot thee, but I would not harm thee, but I'm about to shoot where you're standing." And that's the kind of way you're looking at saying this is not about racial issues. You can call it which is, but we know what's going on.
Thank you, Mr. Osborne. The next speaker is going to be Larissa Orishkovich, but let me say, if you could get in line as the following speakers: Hannah Gibbs, Jennifer Spiel, and Jasmine Abney, and Carlos Stacy, or Stacy Carlos. But first, Larissa Orishkovich.
First of all, I thank you for attempting to pronounce my last name. It's very courageous of you. My parents were from Ukraine. They came here after World War II, so I was born and raised here, and I know why they came, just as many others come, for the better life. I'm not here to shame anybody, to talk ill about anybody. All that has been said before me, but I am looking for courage. I am looking for somebody who aspires to be somebody like Abraham Lincoln. The Republican Party has had great figures in its history. So why are we simply rubber stamping our commander-in-chief and not exerting our rights as free-thinking people to stand up for the people of North Carolina? To redistrict this in a manner just to gain a vote is dishonest, lacks integrity, and will not serve you well in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I won't try it again. Hannah Gibbs is next. Ms. Gibbs, are you in the room still? Apparently not. How about Jennifer Spiel? Help me with your last name.
It's Spiel, S-P-E-A-L. Sorry, my handwriting was not all that great. My name is Jennifer Spiel. I am a citizen of this great state in this country. First, I want to say I reiterate, uplift, and personally agree with every word Representative Harrison spoke earlier. I think she hit all the nails on the head. I'm here to communicate my extreme disappointment in the continual redistricting of our voting districts. I mean, how many times do we got to do this? Really? Gerrymandering is cheating, plain and simple. And I have said for a long time that the Republicans don't have game. They haven't had game in a long time. And when you don't have game, you have to rely upon cheating to get votes. One last thing I want to say is we the people of North Carolina means fairly and justly representing the people of North Carolina. And that's what you should be doing. And Representative Jones, I've watched you, and you haven't looked up from your phone the entire time we've been speaking. How disrespectful.
Thank you, Ms. Spiel. Our next speaker is Jasmine Abney. And she'll be followed by Stacy Carless.
I can go now. Okay. Hi, y'all. I am Jasmine Abney. I am here with Common Cause North Carolina, but first and foremost, I'm a North Carolina native and a generational North Carolinian. And if you're wondering, no, we should not be redistricting. You should not be gerrymandering an already gerrymandered map. You should be letting your constituents focus on their municipal elections and the early voting plans that their county boards of elections are taking up, but instead, they are here. And Senator Hines let us know that he didn't want to read any of those 11,000 comments. He said that was partisan mess. But I'm here in front of you because this is not right. Read the comments, listen to your constituents, and act accordingly. Do not vote for these maps.
Thank you, Ms. Abney. Stacy Carless, and then our final speaker after Ms. Carless is Queen Alicia Hammond.
Good afternoon. My name is Stacy Carless, also a North Carolina native, but speaking today on behalf of NC Counts Coalition, a nonpartisan organization that led statewide efforts for a complete and accurate 2020 census count. Redistricting, like the census, should occur once every 10 years to ensure fair representation, never to serve partisan interests. Yet for the fourth time since 2020, and not due to court order, we are here again, because North Carolina's redistricting process and the maps before us continue to dilute the political power of Black voters, while limiting meaningful public participation. These maps protect partisan political power, not democracy. Voters should choose their leaders, not the other way around. North Carolinians deserve transparency, inclusion, and fairness in every step of the redistricting process. Elected officials are supposed to serve the people, not partisan power. We will not stand for politics that silence Black voters and other voters of color, weaken democracy, or keep control in the hands of a few. North Carolinians deserve better. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carless. And then our final speaker, Queen Alicia Hammond. Ms. Hammond? Not seeing her. Chair thanks you, members of the public, for your comments and especially for your decorum and trying to help us keep on schedule. Chair recognizes Chair Jones for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for a favorable report of Senate Bill 249 with a referral to rules.
Burgers maps are racist maps. Burgers maps are racist maps. Burgers maps are
Committee will stand at ease.
Burgers maps are racist maps. Burgers maps are racist maps.
You're fascist.
Burgers maps are racist maps. 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 Stay off your phone and stop being disrespectful.
You're recognized for a motion.
Thank you, Chairman. I move for a favorable report to Senate Bill 249 with a referral to rules.
Representative Jones, would you like to speak on your motion or go to other members for debate?
We can go to other members for debate.
Okay. Are there members of the committee desiring to be heard? Representative Ball, you're recognized.
I'd like to call for a roll call vote.
Glad to do it. Other comments or questions from members of the committee? Representative Harrison, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know I promised I wasn't going to speak again, but there were a couple of things that I missed, including that financial figure. So Mr. Thomas said it, but we got the information in right as the committee was starting up. So I've been checking every time we go through these redistricting litigation processes, and the total now is, since the 2011 redraw, it's been $22,512,000. So that's a lot of money, and I guess I raise it in the context of the fact that this very district that's getting redrawn, 1 and 3, is subject to litigation right now in the federal court. And the trial took place in June, and it looks like we might get a decision imminently. And this seems premature to be drawing this map when it's going to be the same issue. So I wanted to also sort of remind folks what Dr. McClure said. It's Article 1, Section 2, Sovereignty of the People, the clause about all the power vesting with the people. So the point is that what we're supposed to do as an institution is solely for the good of the whole. And I would argue that there is no way that this redraw of this map, mid-decadal, is for the likely in violation of the Voting Rights Act, all kinds of problems, is for the good of the whole. And I just remind us of our constitutional oath that we all took. And a vote for this map seems to be in direct violation of that oath. And I guess I have a quick question for the chair. Given that we just heard a bunch of public comment, we've had all the online portal comments, are we going to factor any of that into the proposed map, or are we just voting on this map? Thank you.
We're voting on the motion before the committee by 3:50. Are there other questions, comments from members of the committee? Representative Reeves.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I recognize that I'll probably comment a couple other times, and so I'll try to not be as lengthy as I sometimes am. What I'm hoping would happen in this committee, same thing that I hope that happens if it passes this committee and goes rules, same thing I hope that happens on the floor. And I guess what is important to me right now, sometimes all of us do things, and disappointingly for me, the country has become completely polarized about party. Everything is, what party are you in? And if the party does something, then, a lot of us feel compelled to support it. I have been very clear in my time up here, and I don't think there's a time that somebody can tell me I've done differently. I'm in a political party because that is the system that we're in. I vote for myself, my constituents, my God, my faith, and I do what I feel is the right thing to do, even if that puts me in disagreement with folks in my party, your party, or whoever it is. I bring these things up because one of the things that happens and why it gets so dangerous in this country, and really anywhere, it's throughout history, when you start really kind of trying to fit yourself into two boxes, is I don't care if you got a population of 10. At some point, that 5 that's in that box, they're going to start disagreeing about something. And so while we've been concentrating on these maps and things of that sort, I'm looking at other things. And two of the things that have really stayed deeply in my mind are Tom Tillis and John Bolton. When I got here, Tom Tillis was Speaker. There are a lot of people here that are in the majority right now that I think if we say it in an honest moment, you're here because of Tom Tillis. Tom Tillis had a vision. He saw an opportunity to take a majority. And I don't think there are many people when it comes down to the state legislature that could have done more for Republicans and putting Republicans in majority than Tom Tillis. I really don't. And I know that the President Pro Tem was also involved, but I remember Tillis's popularity and leadership coming out of Mecklenburg. So why has he been on my mind? He's going home. And he hadn't really done anything wrong. There's not really something you can point to where he's been out of line with the party or he's been some rogue agent. I don't think anybody would ever describe him as a rogue agent. But he fell out of favor with the present leadership of the party. I look at John Bolton. There was not a closer advisor to the present administration than John Bolton. He's under indictment. And why that's concerning is because, for those of you who have never been in the federal system, feds don't bring an indictment if they don't think they're getting ready to get a conviction. That guy's going to prison. And again, off the little bit of information I know, I'm not sure why, except for I know that he has been identified as an enemy of the administration. So why do I bring these things up? With these maps, the maps that were drawn in 24 were allowed to be drawn for partisan advantage. That ship sailed, that's it. So I think those maps were the maps that folks in this chamber that voted on it believe were the best Republican maps you could get. And now we're back again. And we're doing it again to curry favor with the administration, but what we're really doing is consolidating power. So the warning I would give the folks is this: it's all well and good as long as you stay in favor. But one day, you're John Bolton. One day you're Tom Tillis. One day you're like, but the most important thing for my constituents, which is what I believe all 120 of us are here for. The most important thing with my constituents is actually out of line with what this particular administration wants. Not the party, but what this administration wants. And when we start doing things to make a person happy, this is something I feel strongly about, and I don't mind bringing up in church. You don't follow a pastor. You support your church. And I bring that up because I think all great organizations, that's what you do. It's not about the person who's at top. It's about what ultimately helps all of the people we're supposed to be serving. I will give it to you. There's been no pretense that this is doing something to make things better for North Carolinians. This is something to gain power and to hold power. I would just warn all of us that when we do things for that reason, it's going to come back to bite. I know how many people I've watched get walked out of here, not physically, but figuratively, when they fall out of line with something that leadership wants, which again is nothing that's violative of the party. I would hope we'd vote these maps down simply for this reason. One, I will never believe in so-and-so did something, so I'm going to do something back. Somebody hits you, you got to hit them back. Somebody attacks you, you got to attack them back. But bad behavior politically, whoever started it, does not ever merit bad behavior politically here, because you know what's going to happen with North Carolina? Doesn't matter how this congressional stuff goes. Ultimately, North Carolina is going to be all right because we are here as North Carolina's leadership. So I ask you to vote no on this, not to be insulting, not to talk about anybody, not to say one idea is better than the other, not say one party or one leadership is better than another. I'm not even saying if this was the greatest president we'd ever had in our lives, I say the same thing, that it's not about who's in leadership now. It's about starting the habit of doing things for a person and not for the folks that we serve and not for the folks that you serve with. And I don't want to see us become that, so I ask that you vote no.
Further comments or questions from members of the committee? Seeing none, the question, I'm sorry, Representative Dew.
Sorry. I will say I actually served as the redistricting chair for the county commission, or for the county, which was appointed by the county commission in 2011. And so at that point, our maps were actually pulled back here during the middle of the process, which circumvented the opportunity for the community to actually comment on the maps. And I think that it's really unfortunate that in this situation, for those who are being affected who may not be able to make it here, from my folks in Mecklenburg, of course, there are a lot of people who could make it here today, but there was not an opportunity for the folks affected to be able to speak to these maps in a public forum that wasn't here. here. And also, I don't think an hour and 40 minutes is adequate. And also, with the way this process was set up, there's no real opportunity to change. And so that's unfortunate. I expected more of us.
Representative Ball.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a few thoughts. The old map is bad and is a gerrymander. The new map is really, really bad. I don't want us to forget that. The current map and the new map are illegal partisan gerrymanders, even if the U.S. Supreme Court and the North Carolina Supreme Court do not agree. I will not shy away from calling it that. Sorry, excuse me. The current map and the new map are illegal racial gerrymanders that violate the Voting Rights Act, reauthorized by Congress and signed by President Bush in 2006. This is true even if the U.S. Supreme Court does not agree. In the long, sordid history of North Carolina gerrymandering, we are breaking new ground, and I am outraged about that, as I know many people who have reached out to me from my district and all over the state. Thank you.
Further comments or questions from members of the committee? Representative Carney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm trying to gather my thoughts. I have been a North Carolinian born and bred here. My children have been raised here. My grandchildren, some of them have been raised here. I've had the distinct honor and privilege to serve Mecklenburg County, my district, in Raleigh for the last 23 years. I've been in the majority, I've been in the minority. I can't believe that I'm sitting here today, that we are now moving forward because someone, one man in Washington, the president, and you heard my questioning earlier, this has never been done in North Carolina, that we have taken from the president of the country and saying, I need for you to redistrict and give me one more congressional seat. That's just so out of the realm of the democracy that I have been raised in. My father was a World War II veteran. And if he were alive today, he'd be 105. I cannot believe that he is sitting where he is in heaven, proud of what his daughter has been asked to do today. And that is to not stand up for the Constitution in this bill, in this redistricting, not because the Constitution requires it, not because the people have demanded it, but because one man in Washington asked us to do it. I just can't believe that I'm sitting here. It's surreal to me. We just went through this 3 years ago. And now we're doing it again to the people. For what reason? It makes no sense to me, except it's just I hate cliches. I don't like them. I've worked with you all on both sides of the road, and I hope I can continue to do that and have your respect. But I can't keep quiet at this moment, because I hear from the people you've heard from here today and online, and I do encourage you to read them. I think some of you may have read them, or read some of them, or someone's told you what's in there. I get it that power comes with the party in power. It comes from your leadership. I get it. I've been there. I just ask us all to pause, think why we're doing it, because it truly is, as the speaker said, and my children, my adult children, my in-laws, they've been calling me, texting me. You can't be quiet, Mom. They know I don't speak a lot. But when I do, it's from my heart and my disappointment. My state is better than that, than this. our state is better than this? And I know you don't want to hear half of what people are saying, but I hope at some point that when you put your head down on the pillow, as my daddy told me at night, and you can fall asleep, you know you're in a good position. I hope you all sleep well. Thank you.
Further comments or questions from members of the committee? Seeing none, the motion before the committee is that we give Senate Bill 249 a favorable report with a referral to rules. If you are in favor of the motion, vote aye or yes, and if you're opposed, vote no, and the clerk will call the roll.
Representative Ball?
No.
Ball, no. Representative Carney?
No.
Representative Carney, no. Representative Dew?
No.
Representative Dew, no. Dixon?
Yes.
Dixon, yes. Echeverria? Yes. Echeverria, yes. Gillespie?
Yes.
Gillespie, yes. Harrison?
No.
Harrison, no. Humphrey?
Yes.
Humphrey, yes. Francis Jackson?
No.
Francis Jackson, no. Neil Jackson?
Yes.
Neil Jackson, yes. Miller?
Yes.
Miller, yes. Reeves? Reeves, no. Rhine? Rhine, yes. Carson Smith?
Aye.
Carson Smith, yes. Aye. Willingham?
No.
No. Willingham, no. Bell? Setzer? Tyson? Chairman Jones?
Yes.
Chairman Jones, yes. Do you wish to vote Blackwell?
Chair votes yes. What's the count, Madam Chair?
Yes.
Madam Clerk. The votes on the motion are 10 in favor, 7 against. That completes the work of this committee, and the committee is adjourned.